Welcome to The Real Deal, where it's all about real estate and related businesses in central Massachusetts and northeastern Connecticut. And now, your host, Anthony Shabbat of Shabbat & Associates.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Real Deal Real Estate Podcast. My name is Anthony Shabbat with Shabbat & Associates Real Estate Group of EXP.
My name is Stacey Jimenez with First Casualty Insurance Group.
And I'm Jay Lorette with Lorette Investment Group.
And on today's show, our featured guest of the week is my good mountain biking buddy, Stacey Jimenez, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her history in insurance and how it relates to real estate. That's our angle on it. That's how we're going to try to point our focus during this show. So why don't you get started with a little bit about your background, where you're from, and how did you get into the insurance agency?
I grew up here in Northeast Connecticut. I grew up in Voluntown. I currently live in Pomfret Center. I went to NFA, been here pretty much my whole life, did a stint about 6 years in Arizona, came back home, and got into insurance in about 2007. I left the social work field and went into insurance. I started with employee benefits. I worked in that arena for several years, working with companies and their employees to help them with their everyday needs, personal needs. And then I switched over to the P&C, which is your property and casualty, your typical home, auto, and commercial insurance.
Social work to insurance sounds like a big gap, but it seems like there's a relative there of assisting people. Yeah,
so I always enjoyed helping people. Might drive some people crazy because I'm not so focused on numbers. I'm focused on, what are my clients' needs? How can I best serve them? What is really there to protect them? And go over, when you have an issue and you call me, I know you're covered because I went through it with you and made sure that everything was done correctly and you have the coverages you need.
I mean, would you say that's probably what, stands out as a business, as a representative of your company? Is that what you think stands out the most of other competitors?
Yeah, when I got into the P&C world, you have to be with an agent, so you can just kind of like same as real estate, you have to be affiliated with someone. I was focused on the personal end for a long time, so your home, your auto, umbrellas, life insurance. But most of my contact from being in employee benefits was with commercial accounts with companies and their employees. So when I was looking for a agency that would kind of work with what I was looking for, allow me to work in the commercial arena, but also more importantly was an agency that shared my morals and ethics. So that was really a big thing for picking First Casualty Insurance, was because they left it to me to work with my clients the way I do, versus saying, oh, you have a number you have to reach every month, you have to get this many sales, or you have to make this many calls. It's less corporate, more client-centric, and really working with their needs versus, hitting numbers and just making sales, which we've talked about, between us before, is none of us like to be viewed as salespeople, because I don't think any of us approach our industries that way. We approach it more as consultants and helpers, and really getting, what is best for our clients, not let me just close this deal.
Exactly. I mean, I know I got into the industry, and that was my main focus, was as soon as I help enough people, I'll end up getting rewarded in the end. So
right.
that was basically my mindset from the get-go.
So I like to try to relate everything we do to real estate. So I always I like to ask questions about single-family homes as opposed to multifamily homes. So what are some of the things that people have to provide you with in order to get a quote for a home insurance policy?
Okay, so obviously I need your personal information. I need to know who is purchasing the home, whether it's the individual, a corporation, or if it's maybe an individual investor that has a lot of homes, if he's putting every property into LLCs or they're all going into separate LLCs. what's going on. I need to know about the building, whether it's a home or an apartment complex or a commercial building. I need to know about the building. So lady I spoke with this morning just built her house, so I don't need updates. I know when it was done. But if you have like these older buildings, what's the usage going to be? Like, we'll use Montgomery Ward because I know that's one of yours. That building, one, is very old, so I need all the updates I need. What's the HVAC? What's the plumbing? When's the roof been done? But I also need to know what other companies are in there, because it's driven by what the risk is. So if you have a restaurant in there, that's going to say an office, that's going to raise the office, the person that just has an office, it's going to raise them up, because if that restaurant has a fire, they're gonna, so an office.
That's interesting, because I've had some owners of buildings that have been very opposed to having restaurants in their buildings.
And that's why.
Oh,
yeah, and a lot of times, fortunately and unfortunately, we live in a older settled area. So in our area, a lot of buildings are grandfathered into old stuff. Mm-hmm. But nowadays, to write a restaurant, a lot of your carriers are asking, are there sprinkler systems? And they won't write it unless there's a sprinkler system. So it doesn't matter if it's grandfathered in with the town for that use. The insurance companies are looking for what's going to save the majority of it. And Montgomery Ward is priced with everyone in there based on the kilns that are in the
interesting,
in the pottery.
So with a restaurant, per se, it would probably be better off of a situation to get its own building, not a building with several.
Well, the restaurant is the highest risk.
Yeah.
I mean, you typically. Yeah. The building goes off of whoever the highest risk is. So as an investor, if you're buying commercial properties, when we're writing the insurance, it's going to be based off of, all of the tenants are going to be based off the highest risk. It's going to be based off what they're doing, but they're also going to take into account that there's a restaurant in there, because they're more likely to have a fire than I am with a couple filing cabinets and a computer.
Right. I have another question for you. So
sure.
Actually, we recently had I had a question, because an insurance question for Stacey, and she was able to call me back, and she had great news. And she said that your policy the price just went down dramatically for the year.
Yeah.
And I was like, so what is the reason for this? And she said, did you recently just increase your credit score?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, actually I did. Over the last 6 months, it jumped up quite a bit. Or the last year, it jumped up quite a lot. So I think that must have been what it was. I think that's what you
said. I think there's a lot of things that go into how your policies are rated. And we get people that say, I've been with the same agent or the same policy for 30 years, it's got to be good. Well, that means you've had the increases, the automatic increases for 30 years, and nobody's looked at re-rating you. So it is definitely something that you have to look at once in a while. With our company, we actually watch every year as renewals come in. We run our renewal reports, and we see what the changes in premiums are, and we have a set standard of, like, we'll get a report if you fall into that category. We want to know why it went up, what's going on. Maybe you had a teenage driver, it went up for a reason. Or maybe you had some claims, so it went up for a reason. But there's times when carriers just take rate, and they've just raised their rates, and now it's time for us to take your policy and go shop it out and find you something back down to where you were, or just kind of see where the market's at. Is everyone taking this rate, or is it across the board, or do we find a better place to put you? And having all the carriers that we have puts us in that position where we can do that for you.
So that's pretty interesting. I have a 4-family, and the insurance policy on that I think is $2,400 a year. Mm-hmm. And when you first buy a multifamily house, you have to, or actually, I think when you first buy a single-family house, you also have to pay the whole year of insurance up front, if I'm not mistaken, and then the first 6 months in taxes. So this is just, I don't usually handle
That's
that
not
stuff.
On the insurance end.
Right.
That is the rules by the bank and the mortgages and stuff.
So I think that's, and I wasn't aware of that before, but when I bought my house, they had me pay a year of insurance, and I think it was 6 months of taxes up front. So that was kind of news to me, because a lot of times I don't see that part of it. That's usually handled by the attorneys, and the itemized, all the different deductions and all the prepaids and escrows and all that stuff is all kind of like, a lot of it was behind the scenes,
Right.
especially as a newer agent. You don't really hear about that stuff a lot. But then when you go through the process of buying a house yourself, you're like, oh wow, so this is all the closing costs that I see. And I'm not saying it's your fault, but something a lot of people don't understand or realize. Is it normal to do a full year, do you know? Do you hear that from people, or is that
It really depends. So if you're buying a house and you're getting a loan from a bank, most banks now are escrowing because they want to protect their investment.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that actually, it's their house until you pay it off. So for them, they want to make sure that the insurance is paid. They want to make sure the taxes are paid because
Right.
that's their property, that's their investment. So the general rule of thumb at this point is pretty much everything is escrowed. If you get a private loan or you refinance, sometimes you're able to pay those on your own,
Mm-hmm.
but majority-wise, it is paid through escrow. But
So
you
that's-
can do payments. If you got it on your own or your house is paid off, you can do payments.
And there was another thing I wanted to ask you too. I ran into a problem where I had a water line break in my basement, and I had to have a plumber come out and fix the water line, shut off the water at the main, and fix the water line, and then also I had to replace 2 water heaters. So I was talking to the representative, and they said that I said I could. Actually, another multifamily owner told me, he said you could file an insurance claim for that, and it was $2,000 for everything, which isn't in the grand scheme, not a lot of money for
Right.
emergency repair. But I said I'll look into it, and then I thought about it. I was like, wait, is my insurance policy, is my payments going to have to go up? My premium going to go up because of it? So they said, yeah, usually what they recommend is that if you have a major catastrophe, use the insurance, but your insurance will go up, and you probably would end up paying more if you used it on a small claim.
Yeah.
And so kind of
Some carriers even have,
be selective about what you file.
Oh, absolutely.
And also, you don't even want to call them, he said, or somebody said. Don't even call them and let them know that there was an issue, because that could even raise your insurance.
when you call the carrier directly
Mhm.
and you say something about a claim, they automatically have to file.
Right.
So a lot of times, and what we suggest is speak with your agent, discuss what's going on,
Yeah.
and let's talk about the options. There are some homeowners policies now that have what they call a vanishing deductible, and a lot of people are used to vanishing deductibles. Oh yeah, over several years it will disappear. But the way theirs works is, if you put in a small claim, you're getting your full. We're charging the full deductible. If you put in a real, claim that's worth some, you had, a decent loss, and you're using your insurance the way it should be, there's times where they say, oh, there's no deductible, because they're trying to reward people for using their insurance correctly.
Okay.
And I think we see the same thing in the healthcare industry, is people are like, go to the emergency room because my nose is running. Well, you're just driving up healthcare costs because someone's got to pay for that, and
Yeah, right.
that relates to all of us. So same as driving in the area, like that comes all down to all of us. It comes into all of our premiums, because the actuaries for companies take all the statistics in areas by whether it was male or female and what the rates were there, and all those things go into the ratings as they find statistics.
So now, something else we should talk about: life insurance. What do I have to provide you with if I want to get life insurance? How complicated is that process? How quick? If I want to get life insurance in a week, is that possible, or do I have to wait 6 months, or
So it really depends on the individual. The things that I ask right up front, I need to know, obviously your name, date of birth. I need to know tobacco use, and I need to know whether you have any medical issues. So you're taking medicine on a regular basis, or if, what you feel you're in as far as weight and the height to weight ratio. So that's how we get started. It can be quick. However, there is underwriting, so it depends on the amount that you're looking for. So if you're looking for, hey, I want $500,000, $1 million, $10 million.
what do most people do? $500,000?
So we take the same approach. It's very individualized. I will get the generic whatever, general information, and I pass that off to a colleague that's what he specializes in. I'm licensed in life insurance, but this is what he does day in and day out. He deals with all the markets, he deals with all the brokers, so he knows exactly, based on the continuing answers and as the process goes, which market's best for you, how much do you want. But it's really based on what your goals are. People get life insurance to save for the future. You get mortgage insurance, which is basically just life insurance. But that mortgage insurance usually has a decreasing value.
I never realized that before. Really?
Yes. So that mortgage insurance will start at the amount of the loan, and as the amount of the loan goes down, it also follows and goes down. So you actually lose. You don't have that. That if you say you did a house for $200,000, and you're like, okay, I'm getting life insurance for $200,000, or I'm getting mortgage insurance for $200,000. Your life insurance, if you get a term policy for your 30-year mortgage, you get a 30-year term, so it covers you, pays off the house, anything happens to you, or however the beneficiary chooses to pay for using money. But where a mortgage insurance, the beneficiary is typically the bank. And it decreases as the loan decreases. So it's really nothing for you or your family.
Well, when you say life insurance and the height and your weight, is that going by that BMI? Because I think that BMI is totally.
It can be totally, but they do have a nurse come out and they take your blood pressure and everything. So there is more underrating to it, but that's kind of to put you into a category because they have your preferred and your platinum levels where, it depends on what your premium is. So you get someone that's super healthy, never smoked, anything, they're going to be on that higher tier, so they're going to get cheaper rates because their risk is lower. But I've certainly had, we've had instances where, unfortunately, we had a 26-year-old come in, got insurance, and a few months later passed away. He actually got in a motorcycle accident and passed away. And when his family came in, because we had the other insurances and we were adjusting things, they were not even aware that he picked up a life insurance policy. So, and that's something, we like to know is what they have, even if you have it elsewhere. Family doesn't know, and if you don't claim the life insurance, it doesn't get paid out. So it's not like life insurance companies are sitting there reading the obituary and saying, oh, you know what, we owe that family a check. If you don't ever put the claim in, the money just sits or disappears.
Holy cow, I had no
idea. There was a
idea.
Huge, like 2020 on it a few years ago, about the millions and millions of dollars that life insurance companies have just never paid out. And sometimes when they investigated, they found out that sometimes they even knew about the death, but because nobody put in the claim, they never paid it out.
So you said sits, which I understand. I mean, there's missing money in everywhere, but it actually disappears.
Well, I mean, it's in their investments, and it just there's nowhere to send it, so it's basically just sits in their bank account versus yours.
Wow.
So it's important to know if someone has life insurance and if you're supposed to put a claim in, which is why we ask the question: do you have a life insurance? Where do you have it? So we can direct families that we work with if something happens.
That's a good point.
I don't know if we covered this already, but did you talk about your different office locations? Because one of the first things I'd like to do is ask you to give your phone number, your email address, and your office location. In the beginning of the podcast, I actually skipped over that part, so
sure.
Tell us that.
I'm on the road a lot, so I use my personal number. My direct line is 860-230-1237. I am based out of our Plainfield office at 94 Norwich Road in Plainfield, Connecticut. As far as offices, we have physical locations. We have 3 in North Carolina, Raleigh, Charlotte, and Southern Pines. We have 1 in Georgia, and I don't actually know the exact address for that one. We have 1 in Cape Cod. We have 1 in Marlborough, New York. And we have books of business in several states, which a book of business in insurance means we have clients there. We purchased the business, but not the office. So we purchased the book of business there, the clients and everything, but we did not purchase a physical location.
You just purchased their books. You just go in there and I'll take these books off this shelf here.
Yeah, we basically got them. We got all their clients and we manage that.
We don't want any of your clients.
So we're licensed in over 30 states and we have clients all over the country, even as far as Alaska. We have some in other countries, but we service their U.S.
I tried to be funny, but it wasn't successful. So you have 7 or 8 locations, you said? Is that right?
Yeah, about that.
And you have about how many employees? 70?
We're still under 50 employees.
Oh, under 50, right? Okay, yeah.
So we service a large amount of business. And we service everything from, small auto policy up to multi-million-dollar corporations.
And do you go to people's houses and do this, or do you do it all over the phone? You do it, how do you conduct your
It
business?
really depends on the individual. I have sat with some people at their house because that was more convenient for them. Businesses, obviously, I'm often going to them and meeting with them. A lot of my general contractors, especially those working, in New York and down in the boroughs or Long Island, I'm not going down there. Their day starts at about 7 a.m. and they're not in one location, so they're moving around. So for me, my clients are what is convenient for them. A lot of it, many times, is email and a lot of texting and whatever works for them.
How about Zoom? Probably do a lot of Zoom, right? I would think.
Yeah, through our offices we have Microsoft Teams, so we use that portal for conference calls between all of our offices. Like I said, we have.
I've heard that's really popular.
It is a really good platform,
I've never used
and
it.
it has a chat feature as well, so we can sit there and while we're on a call, we don't have to put someone on hold. We can just chat right over to our underwriting teams, or can you make this call and check on this for me? So we can sit there and continue to service while we're on the phone.
Do you get to work from the beach sometimes? Jason.
I'm kind of like 24/7.
Likes the beach.
Fortunately and unfortunately, I'm available to my clients 24/7. So I have some, because they're in the contractor world, or I have one company that they have their mother company is in Germany. So they have things come in at odd hours and they have to send those over to me, and I'm always seeing what's coming in and moving it on to the next step. So it's 24/7. I think I worked from 6:30 to 8:30 this Saturday morning, just getting things out. And I had a client call me and we bound his stuff. It was actually a cyber policy. And
What's a cyber policy?
so cyber policies are basically for information security.
Oh, wow.
We've seen a huge uptick in them lately, a lot in New York, because the laws are different there. When you're dealing in different states, insurance is different, and the laws are different in different states, and information security is different in different states. So Massachusetts and New York and California kind of lead the way in information security. They have a lot of laws, things have to be handled differently, and if someone gets into your system, whether it's cloud-based or not, they still got your client's information or your customer's information or your employee's information. So you have to safeguard that and have a way to be able to react to that. And there's a lot of costs involved, whether it's paying the ransoms. If you guys seen lately, the oil line had a ransom where they had tapped into the oil line and they wanted them to pay so much to get it. That was like a couple days where oil prices went and gas prices went through the roof, and everyone was freaking out. I know down south they couldn't get gas anywhere.
Oh, I didn't hear about
They were
that.
all shut down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Because so everyone reacted to that. So obviously, if you put out there, hey, we lost your information, your customers are going to react to that. And you have to have a way to respond, not only through marketing, but how do you safeguard those people and how do you monitor them? So cyber policies really play into that, and there's a lot of questions. I usually end up dealing with people's IT departments and getting all of the dirty details of how they have and what firewalls they have and what setups they have going on.
As you said, contractors, wouldn't it be important to for contractors to know, like, just insuring per se their vehicle wouldn't necessarily mean that the equipment in their vehicle would be covered, or is there certain specific insurance policies that would cover, like tools or anything that were to be in there?
Yep. So when I'm working with any sort of contractor, we often have the whole package. So we're looking at the auto and I'm asking them, hey, what kind of tools do you have? What's your stuff moving around? Because the stuff in your vehicle is not covered by your auto insurance, and that goes on the personal end or the commercial end. Anything installed in the vehicle is part of the vehicle, but anything within the vehicle that could basically fall out is not covered. So either you need a renter's policy or a homeowner's policy, or in the world of contractors, a lot of times they have inland marine policies, or on their package it actually has how much for tools. Some of my painters, they're like, I have a ladder and a paintbrush, don't really need much. But and my GCs don't need anything because they're not doing any of the work. But I have some HVAC that really have, a lot of equipment and a lot of tools in their vans that, you're right, that's a big loss if it gets stolen or if someone breaks in. You're losing, even you with the, all the camera equipment, if you're running around with that stuff in your vehicle, you got to think about those things.
Contractors, I would think they have tons of tools. Sometimes, like I don't know, electricians or some sort of construction people or something would have tons of tools in their vehicles also. Just trying to give people ideas of different vehicles they could go out and
there's different things. If I work for a big company and you have your company vehicle, maybe that's not the company's tools, maybe that's the employee's tools in there. So there is coverage for that as well. You just have to break it down, and that's why when you're working with an agent, you want them to ask a lot of questions because you really want them to break down really what is all you have. Maybe you don't want the coverage, but at least you know that it's available and here's what it would cost. And if you're like, hey, that's on them, whatever, we take that off. But you really want to know what's going on so you can offer, here's what I would suggest, and now what's important to you.
And back to the home, I think you suggested that every year you should take pictures of high-end merchandise in your home, kind of right after the holidays.
Right. So I always suggest to people, like, whether you're renting, whether it's your home, even businesses, because when you insure a building, you're still insuring all your stuff in it. So you've got you just look around in here, you've got printers, you've got coffee things. So if something happened to this building, what did you have in here? On the higher end things, I do suggest taking a picture of the serial number so you can say, this is the exact model I had. So you're not, getting that lower end model. You're like, yeah, that's what I had. And I usually suggest right after the holidays, around the new year, it's usually quieter. People are stuck, at least in our area, for snow and stuff. So to go around and kind of update those and email them to yourself. So if anything happens, it's always on that cloud somewhere where you can pull that. As we had talked about before, we had a friend who we mountain biked with that had lightning struck his house and burnt to the ground. They sent him an Excel spreadsheet to fill out what he had in the house. And it's just overwhelming to really think, like, what did I have in that room, and like walk through.
I have a virtual tour of my house, so there's an idea. You can sell that to your clients. Be like, hey, if you want to, but no serial numbers on my virtual tour, so you'd actually have to, But at least I would be able to go through the whole house and be like, I had this stuff over here and this stuff over here, and
Yeah, if in general it's just a reminder of, there's a lot of little things that you don't think of. That you're like, oh, you got 4 seasons worth of clothes. That's a lot of money right there. And then all your silverware, your dishes, and your pots and pans, and you're like, it just adds up, especially, people that have been in their house for years and years.
Right.
Can't even imagine how much stuff they have. And then if you have collectibles, there's a lot to it.
I can't remember if we talked about this already. Did we talk about the flooding in the basement yet?
You brought up that there was a pipe, but you didn't say anything much more about it. Like, so was it a service line pipe, or was it just a pipe in the house?
I don't even know, honestly. The guy just went in and fixed it. I didn't even look at it. I didn't see it because it was like 6 inches deep, and I didn't have any waders or anything to go down there in.
And you had that too recently, didn't you? Have a basement flood?
No, I knew
someone
people. Yeah.
Had like you might as well go swimming.
Actually, no, that was the school that we were looking at.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that one. Yeah, right. That was deep in there.
That was huge. So flood is not groundwater, where a lot of people get that confused, and it's not. A flood is not included on a homeowner's policy.
Oh my God.
So it is a separate policy. Now, mind you, groundwater, like the water table rises and seeps into your basement, or your gutter isn't done right, so you just poured water right there and it came into your basement. That's just groundwater, so that's not covered.
But I would have been covered because I had a pipe burst.
You had a pipe burst, so that's often covered in a policy for a pipe burst. Mind you, it's not lack of maintenance. So if they were bad pipes and they can show that they haven't been updated in 80 years, they're going to say, you haven't been doing maintenance on this property.
So-
So it's all up to your adjuster whether anything's covered or
So
not.
if they found like an inspection report or something, like from when you moved in and it was 3 years later and there was evidence that you did not take care of it, I mean, that could be something that could kind of
Right.
potentially bite you in the rear end.
Oh, absolutely. But your flood, and this has been changing lately, their definition on flood. It used to be it had to be multiple properties, which could include a road and your property, had to be so many feet. They've adjusted that now because you have these, you have like farms or people that own hundreds of acres. Well, you could flood out hundreds of acres and not include another property. So now it can be on a single property, but it does have to be, I believe, over 2 acres of flooding for it to be considered flood.
Okay.
But it's definitely not groundwater that is in there. Water, sewer, backup, yeah, I suggest that one because that is a gross job if you ever have that problem.
Oh, yeah.
That is not something you want to pay out of pocket for, and it's definitely not something you want to be pulling the shop vac out for.
Mm-hmm. So we're actually, I didn't notice it, but we're actually already at the 30-minute mark in here. So
Wow.
I think we should probably wrap it up and just give contact information.
Yeah.
So Stace, once again, what's your contact information? Your first, last name, email address, phone number, and web address.
My name is Stacey Jimenez, First Casualty Insurance Group. You can reach me directly at 860-230-1237. And our website is fcigglobal.com.
And where do you live? And what time am I going to come over for dinner next time?
He knows where I live.
Just kidding. You don't have to actually give your real address. So, your home address. I don't know why I just got a little, I get too comfortable around you and I feel like I can make jokes and it's like, I know none of these people are going to understand that I'm
Just let me know what time you're coming. I'll go kill a chicken.
being silly, but yeah, that's right. So you do have parties at your house sometimes and you
Yep.
guys probably won't be invited because you don't know her well enough, but you should definitely give her a call and maybe she'll invite you to the next one. She's got goats and chickens and you name it, right?
We have a full farm, which is why I specialize in farm insurance.
And a beautiful view with the sky and the
Oh,
trees
yeah.
in the background. So, all right, well, thanks for being on the podcast, Stace. It's always fun to see you. Always fun to have you at the Putnam Business Association, Killingly Business Association, Chamber of Commerce events, and at the next multifamily meetup that we have here, hopefully, in the near future that Jay and I have to talk about.
Yes.
So, I'll wrap it up. I'm Anthony Shabbat from Shabbat & Associates Real Estate Group of EXP.
And Jay Lorette of Lorette Investment Group.
Thank you guys so much for watching. My number is 508-847-0902 if you have any questions about real estate.
And 860-334-1869.
So, thanks for watching the Real Deal Real Estate Podcast, everybody, and we hope to see you next time. Have a great day.